attorney Joanne Molinaro with us this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, ladies.
Yeah, and welcome back to the show. You know, I want to talk about what Tina just stressed, that this is a whole different parole board today that Lyle will be seeing in about 20 minutes from now. Talk about how we could see things look different for him after Erik got denied.
Well, I think there are a couple of things to consider. Number one, Lyle has far fewer rule violations while in jail than his brother Erik. Notably, he has no physical altercations. He was not involved in any violence. There were no fighting, problems in his record. Having a cell phone when he shouldn't have. I believe a former girlfriend gave him a pair of red Adidas sneakers. Things like this, which may seem small to us, but clearly were a big deal to Erik's parole board.
Yeah.
So why do you think Erik was denied parole? Because we were talking yesterday, and when we were looking at the two of them, you thought more likely that Lyle would be denied and that Erik could possibly be released here. So what happened?
Well, I think that most of us, when we think about the brutality of the crime, which did become an issue during Erik's parole board hearing, we think of Lyle as the one who had, he may have been the instigator. He, certainly was viewed that way at the time of the sentencing, right? But clearly, Erik's parole board was focused so much more on his behavior in jail than the brutality of the crime. That may be completely different today during Lyle's hearing.
That is very interesting. District Attorney Nathan Hoffman joined us earlier this morning. Of course, he has been against the brothers' release. But as we talked about with him this morning, really because he feels like they haven't taken full responsibility or apologized for the crime, whereas you just said the parole board was really focused more on their time in prison.
Well, I think actually those two things are really related because the commissioner indicated, I can't believe you had a cell phone. This is a rule violation while you were seeking sentencing. And although he didn't say this explicitly, in my mind, it sounded almost like he was accusing Erik of being a little arrogant and unrepentant. And so I think that there actually is a relationship. Now, Lyle also has a similar violation in his prison record, so that can come up again. But like I said, we're talking about a whole new parole board here. Who knows what they're going to focus on?
So obviously, there's been so much discussion just over the last couple years on this case. The brothers have tried to prove over and over again that they have been rehabilitated. They've done all these wonderful things for the prison community and mentored people and studied that kind of thing. Does this play a role, or does the board really just look at these violations?
I think it certainly does play a role. It was a 10-hour hearing yesterday. I mean, normally these hearings last about 2 hours, 3 hours tops. So we obviously see that the parole board is taking all things into consideration, wants to do its due diligence in this decision. But ultimately, I think we heard directly from the commissioner that the most important thing that he considered or they considered was that prison record. Will that be the case again today? I don't know. Time will tell.
What do you make of the family being so supportive of both of the brothers being released and now, of course, disappointed by yesterday and waiting for better news today for them?
Well, I think what we can't rule out is, yes, Erik was denied today. Lyle may be denied today, but they're up for parole again in 3 more years. And I think that the continued support of the family will be incredibly important at future parole hearings if that is something that occurs for either of these brothers.
So with Erik, we're not going to hear anything for 3 years?
I think we will definitely be hearing because there's still a clemency request. There's still a motion pending for a new trial. And also, I looked into this specifically. Governor Newsom, while he has never done this, as far as I can tell, he, under the law, does have the ability to modify or reject a denial of parole as much as a grant of parole, at least under the plain language of the law. I don't think that's going to happen here, but that's certainly a possibility.
Governor Newsom has a track record of, because people have not taken responsibility, keeping people in prison. We saw that with the shooter of Robert F. Kennedy.
Exactly. He is not inclined to deny a denial of parole. It's usually the other way around.
Okay, all very interesting and so many factors that still could be at play here. Joanne, thank you for breaking those down for us.